Hello, how are you guys doing? My name is Chris Matthews. I'm your relationship coach and licensed marriage and family therapist. And I'm back with another video today to talk about why every couple needs to consider attending premarital counseling. Reason number one is premarital counseling allows you and your partner to establish realistic expectations. When you're in the dating phase or the courtship phase of the relationship, partners usually are always attempting to put on their best face. Over time, as you begin to grow together, you're going to see different parts of each other. Those parts are going to change as you both change. So it's important to understand that when you enter a marriage, you want to have expectations that are realistic. What does that look like? Realistic expectations that are processed in premarital counseling help you and your partner see ahead of the game when it comes to how you guys are going to be changing when things such as child rearing, employment, integration with family, those different life changes are going to create moments where the expectations of how you guys operate need to differ as well. I think a lot of times about how in therapy, a partner will come in, usually the male will say, "Hey, Chris, my wife and I, we had tons of sex. It was spontaneous. We could just get up and go. But once she got pregnant and after we had our kids, things started to slow down." And he wasn't expecting that going into the marriage. And that's normal. So premarital counseling can help partners identify not only what to expect currently, but what to expect as the marriage evolves and as you both grow together as couples. The second reason why you need to consider premarital counseling is because you'll be able to develop a high level and to sustain a high level of marital satisfaction. Marital satisfaction usually decreases when couples go a long time without solving little issues and they become big issues. When you're in premarital counseling, you and that professional will develop a plan of action that you and your partner will take. And I want you guys to think of it somewhat of like an armor of protection. Your marriage is very sacred. It's something that you want to protect and value throughout the course of your life. When you have that plan in play, you'll know exactly what to do when small problems arise and you'll prevent them from becoming big problems. The third reason you need to attend premarital counseling, you'll be able to have access to early interventions. Think about your marriage as something that is very fragile at the beginning, and as it grows over time, it'll become stronger. When you have premarital counseling, you have the early interventions that look like identifying how to communicate, how to talk with each other, and how to matriculate through life as one. I use the term a lot of the times, premarital counseling is that transition to help you and your partner go from I to we, or me to us. And you'll get those interventions by way of skills and techniques that the counselor will help you learn how to implement, so you'll be able to protect yourselves at the beginning and the onset of the marriage before things get rocky. The fourth benefit of premarital counseling, you gain a competitive advantage. If you've ever played sports, or if you've had to be in a position where you were competing against someone else, every advantage matters. The same with your marriage. If you have an opportunity to develop plays, to have an opportunity to see strategies on the forefront that you can implement when the game time starts, you're going to be in a better position to win. And I want to help you win at marriage. That's what premarital counseling does. I like to use a lot of football analogies. And when you think about the greatest teams in the NFL, they're all full of individuals who go above and beyond. The talent is already there. If you've made it to that level of professional sports, you already have talent. So all 32 teams in the NFL are talented teams. It's a matter now of taking that talent and finding different advantages that make you a little bit better than your opponent. You want to have those advantages in your marriage. Clearly you love each other. Clearly you want to be together. That's why you're engaged, or that's why you're going to be married. But a lot of married people also loved each other. They got divorced. A lot of couples also cared about each other and it didn't work. So you want to be able to go into that marriage with those little advantages that are going to give you something beyond just love and care, so the marriage does not break when things get tough. The fifth reason why you need to attend premarital counseling: you'll be able to develop a strong foundation. When you think about a house, you can have the most luxurious furniture, you can have state-of-the-art appliances, you can have all of the decor that you like, but if that foundation is cracked, it doesn't matter. The same with your marriage. A lot of times I'll see couples, they'll spend money on the wedding, they'll have an expensive honeymoon, and on paper, it looks beautiful. But when you walk inside that marriage, they don't like each other. They hate each other, for that matter of fact. But when it comes to the public eye or perception or the Facebook post that says, I love my husband or I love my wife, that's BS. At the end of the day, most marriages that I see, especially those that are coming to marriage counseling at the conclusion of the marriage, and even those that you might see that are on Facebook or in this superficial reality that everything's fine, when you take a sneak peek inside, the foundation was cracked. And that foundation usually becomes cracked at the beginning of marriages because couples don't have the skills and the know-how to establish a strong marriage. Get your foundation together by coming to premarital counseling, so you don't get to just be the person that has the Facebook marriage. You actually have a real solid foundation that's based on love, trust, care, and more importantly, the skills to manage each other's needs, wants, and expectations so your marriage lasts a lifetime. That's what you're going to get from premarital counseling. The sixth advantage of attending premarital counseling is going to be getting over all of your fears. When you're dating your partner, there's a fear of being vulnerable because you don't want to tilt that person toward leaving or breaking the relationship. When you get married, it's now a higher level of commitment. And I use a joke sometimes with partners. I apply this to my own marriage as well. When my wife and I first started dating, we could get in a fight and you had that silence period between talking to each other and you're thinking to yourself, man, I don't know if this is going to work. Wow, are we going to break up? And you're nervous because you could essentially end the relationship. When you get married, it's different. When you get married and you get in that fight and you might take space, go hang out with friends, it's not a matter of if you're going to come back, it's when you're going to come back. The marriage gives you another layer of protection where you don't have to be fearful of ending that relationship. Instead, with premarital counseling, you'll be able to see the ebbs and flows as a normal process that comes by way of just two people learning how to be together. Premarital counseling will help you navigate those fears and actually eradicate them. So when you have conflict in the marriage, you're not going all the way to level 10 where you're saying we're going to divorce. And by the way, that's one of the worst things you can do is threaten a breakup or divorce, because you're then making your partner question themselves and the marriage. So premarital counseling will give you those skills. They'll help you get past the knee-jerk reaction to just call it quits when you get upset. The seventh advantage of premarital counseling: you'll be able to learn how to communicate. And if you've watched any of my videos in the past, I simply define communication as your ability and your partner's ability to send and receive messages back and forth. A lot of times couples don't know how to do that properly because they have messed up blueprints that may come by way of how their parents communicated or how they communicated in other toxic or past relationships that were abusive. In premarital counseling, we get to clean that slate. You and the counselor and your partner get to work around understanding the flawed communication strategies and recreating new communication strategies that are going to be aligned with you guys establishing a good marriage. The eighth advantage of attending premarital counseling is that you get to establish a strong rapport with a professional. A lot of my clients that have attended premarital counseling with myself or have attended premarital retreats that we host will come back later in the future doing other areas or stages of their life, and they'll get a checkup. You think about your doctor's office. You go to the doctor for several reasons. Usually people will go annually for a screening or a health check. Clients of mine do the same. They'll come in for a session, we call it a booster session, to just do a relationship health check. You'll go into your doctor when you're sick. Clients will do that with therapy. Hey, there's an issue, we can't get over it. Similar to how if a cough lingers on, you go to the doctor. If a fight's lingering on too long, you go to your counselor. Premarital counseling has already allowed you to have that foundation, so when those issues arise, or if you need your health checkup or your marriage checkup, you don't got to then try to find someone that doesn't know your history. So get that established at the beginning of the relationship, so when things come about, you're not at that vulnerable state of waiting and putting them off because you don't know who your therapist is. The ninth advantage of premarital counseling: smart investment. When you think about the word investment, it's a matter of putting something out at a smaller amount, and then over time, it'll yield a higher return. That's what premarital counseling does. The money and time you put in premarital counseling is a drop in the bucket when it comes to the time that you say you're going to be with your partner, which is eternity, until you both die or one of you passes, right? So imagine putting a couple hours of time in at the beginning of that marriage, small investment, to then have a lifelong of happiness and success with a partner that you love and care about. The 10th advantage of attending premarital counseling: you're able to get a discount on your marriage license or a tax credit depending on what state you live in. And that is something which a lot of my clients take advantage of. I'm on the North Carolina-South Carolina border. So our state of North Carolina is one that doesn't directly give out that advantage or benefit, but due to our retreats, we have clients that come from Georgia and South Carolina, some as far as Florida, which all three give out some really nice benefits when it comes to a reduction of premarital license fees and a reduction based on tax credits to show proof. In order to qualify for these benefits, both partners had to have attended the premarital retreat, workshop, or counseling together, and it needed to have been a minimum of 6 hours with a licensed professional, such as a licensed marriage and family therapist, psychologist, or someone who's deemed appropriate based on the legislation for the premarital counseling credits. You can identify the rules for if you're eligible to obtain those credits based on your state's website. If you simply just do a Google search on premarital counseling benefits and type your state in, it'll come up. So once again, I hope these 10 benefits that I mentioned are going to be able to persuade you and your partner to see the value in attending premarital counseling so you can stay together and be happy for the course of the entire marriage. My name is Chris Matthews. I'm your relationship coach and licensed marriage and family therapist, and I look forward to seeing you on the other side, hopefully at one of our retreats or contacting me for premarital counseling.
Can never go back, I gotta take it on the other side.